Hi, good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the following question. I'm a deputy director with 3 staff, new to a position where I have a lot of cross-cutting files with other divisions at Global Affairs Canada and also a lot of other government departments. Both of which who have taken the lead in a lot of cases, and I have staff really that are fine with that and seem a bit underutilized. So right off the bat, I think that this is a question that strikes me as being absolutely linked to alliance building and influencing, both internally and externally, to my team, with also a little bit of an intercultural side, because despite the fact that we work overseas with obviously very different cultures, within the government and even within departments, we can see very different cultures and environments, and that's something that we shouldn't underestimate. So with those 2 things in mind, I would say that the significance of this question is that we have a people and process issue on, well, I have a people and process issue on my hands as the deputy director, new in the position, and I need to address this. So my way moving forward on this question would involve addressing the work side and then the people side, and that's how I'm going to structure my answers. So firstly, I'll just go through on the work side how I would address that, and then I'll transfer over to the individual people on my team. And just to give you a sense of where I'm going, my approach will be to understand and assess the situation, to look at risks and consult, to make a plan, consult, approve, implement, and then to assess and report back. So diving in right off the bat, I think key documents and people are going to be really important in the assessment stage. I'm new to the position, and obviously I'll be bringing a lot of experience with me, but there's always a lot to learn, especially right off the bat, and it always pays to educate oneself before acting, especially when there is a team involved. So I would look at the departmental plan to figure out where my division fits. Ministerial mandate letters would be relevant, not only for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, of course, but we have OGDs involved here. So important to educate myself on what the commitments are that their minister is being held to and how they connect to those and how their work that overlaps with ours connects upwards from the cascading policy direction. If there's a programming element, then of course budgeting would be relevant, and it may be anyways, so always good to look at those documents. Really key, and something I'd like to underline, is that at this point, with interactions that involve other people, whether it be my team, other divisions, the OGDs, my manager, my predecessor, really key that I am listening and not going in with preconceived notions or assumptions about the way forward, but really listening to what they can offer in terms of educating me and helping direct some good decisions down the road, and also very respectful. So there is the potential here, because there is overlap for a bit of conflict, and I certainly would see my task to be mitigating that as much as possible and really respecting interlocutors. And so I mentioned some of the people just a moment ago that I would be seeking to communicate with, just to get a bit of direction and insight into where I fit. And then I think I would be at this stage really looking at risks. So some of the risks, not all, not an exhaustive list, but some of the risks I would see is that, as I mentioned, there is real potential for conflict here, and I may find out in my discussions that there has been conflict in the past, and so that's something to be prepared for in my approach, and also in the solutions that I'll be identifying. I may not be guaranteed to get the desired outcome that I'm looking for, and so how do I prepare for that and adapt accordingly? And I may not have a receptive team, so I may get what I want externally, but not so much internally, or vice versa. And how does one prepare for that and then respond accordingly? So as far as making a plan, I think I'd be looking to identify common interests that I share with other divisions and OGDs. If we all have the same goal, it makes for a collaborative conversation on how we proceed toward achieving it. And especially if there are low-hanging fruit, I think we're all looking for success. We all want things reflecting in our PMPs that we're doing our jobs well and getting outcomes. And how can we be mutually reinforcing in that as opposed to competing for space? Who are the influencers that I might find in other divisions? Well, in fact, even on my team, although I'll get to that in a moment, but externally, other divisions and OGDs who are influencers, who are allies that I can leverage towards helping me get the outcome that I'm looking for. And how can we put together complementary efforts? What are the tools and training that might be required? So there may be a reason why our division is no longer doing what one might expect it to be doing, and is it a capacity issue, and how can I address that in my plan? And where are gaps moving forward in how the work is getting done, what our objectives are, and what's currently being pursued. And can we occupy that space? Can we use those gaps as an opportunity to step in and show our division's value added, and maybe take back a bit of the space that we may be expected to occupy? And long term, where are we going? So short term, we may be looking for wins, but long term, I think there's a strategic angle to this. Where are the collective efforts aimed? And so how can we calibrate our strategy towards that, and where can we fit with a view to not tomorrow, but next fiscal year and beyond? I think that there's an immediate strategy, but there's also value in looking at a bit of a longer term strategy as well. So once I looked at all of those questions and assessed where we might want to go, I would speak to my manager and I would seek to implement these. And move forward with some conversations with these partners, and hopefully collaborative. And I think, just to underline that, where I would ideally like to be focused is taking advantage of some of the Blueprint 2020 direction, in that we are seeking to find innovative solutions, and we are being invited to explore risk. And I think that there's a huge appetite for whole of government initiatives. And to me, maintaining a very positive approach here and seeking to be collaborative, I would really hope to leverage this opportunity as a way to find common interests and use our resources towards the spirit of communication and risk and innovation towards some interesting outcomes. And obviously that would be a work in progress, and we would have to adapt along the way. But that's sort of how I would proceed on the work side. Now, keeping in mind, I suppose, that same spirit and transitioning over to my team, I'm going to assume that there's a general underutilization. It's similar to how I would look at the work, I need to do my homework on the people as well. So who are these people? What do I know about them? And that might be something that I'm asking my predecessor about when I'm having the conversation about divisional objectives as well. I'm going to look at the job descriptions on the team. So what are they supposed to be doing? Maybe they are actually achieving what their job descriptions say, maybe not. That's where performance agreements may come in as well. And so do my homework there and figure out, are there standing issues around that? Or are these newly emerged morale issues around not necessarily wanting to change how they're interacting with the work? What are they seeking to achieve? I've consulted them on the vision and where we could go. How can I support them in that? And how can I get their buy-in? How can they be part of how we moved forward as a team? I'm not leading everything. I'm going to need them along as well. And tools and training, I think, would be a huge element in there. So how can I better support them? How can I make them feel like we're investing in them so that they invest in this common vision? So I think, in a nutshell, that's how I would go forward. I think that there is real potential in an opportunity like this, if done right, to really bring people on board and put some new energy into how the work that we do gets done. And so that's how I would approach it, with an optimism that I hope would be borne out throughout the process. Thank you.